Hello and welcome back to the Joyful Soul Creates. Charlotte here, and today I am taking part in an Autumn Inspirational YouTube collaboration organised by Crystal from the Flying Seahorse. As I said, the theme is autumn and inspirational, and I thought I would make an encouragement card, and I'm going to be showing you how I made use of this alcohol ink background that I made a while ago and didn't really like. It had ended up a bit muddier than I really wanted, so it didn't work for the project I was making then. But I thought the colours on it would work nicely for autumn leaves, so that's what I'm going to be making with it. And this is going to end up being a see-through fronted card inspired by some videos Jennifer Maguire has done in the past. So I will link to her channel in the top right hand corner, so you can have a look for those if you like. To start off with, I want to make my alcohol ink panel a bit sturdier. I tend to do my alcohol inking on Vellum because it's a cheaper alternative to Yupo paper, but Vellum is not very strong, generally speaking. So in order to make it sturdier, I backed the entire piece with a wide double-sided tape. Using just one piece of double-sided tape that's nice and wide and covers the whole thing in one go means that you won't see any seams of the adhesive through, and it's effectively turning the vellum into a sticker. I then adhered that sticker onto some white card. I chose white because it wasn't going to muddy the colours I had used, whereas if I'd used a colour card it would have muted those colours. And as I said, this will make it sturdier to work with. Once I was happy with that, I started cutting out my leaves. These leaf dies came from a Love from Lizzie card kit a couple of years ago. I will link to these dies if I can find them individually on her shop. I think they are there individually. Otherwise I'll see if I can find some other similar leaf dies to use. So I cut out as many as I could get from that panel of alcohol inked card, and then I've cut down another piece of white card to be A2 sized, so 4¼ by 5½, and I'm just going to go through arranging all of my leaves onto this card, and this is going to be making my card front. Now, when arranging them, it's important to make sure you have some overlap because you do need to be adhering the pieces together once you've finalised the positioning. I actually didn't overlap them quite as much as I probably should have, so that did cause me some problems later, as you will see. So I think it is better to go for more overlap rather than less if you're uncertain. You also want to try and make sure you have quite a few along the top and bottom edges to keep that nice and sturdy. And it's a good idea to make sure that you have the corners as well to keep them well defined. I didn't really pay too much attention to what colours or what shapes I put where because I wanted it to have a kind of natural randomness to it. So I just went through picking up a die cut leaf, laying it into position, and then moving on to the next. This kind of design probably would have been much easier if the leaves were larger, but I did not have larger leaves to work with, so I was limited by the size I had available to me. But if you have larger dies you want to use for this kind of design, then I would recommend going with the bigger ones if possible. Once I had all the leaves in place, I needed to hold them together. Jennifer Maguire in her video used press and seal for this, but I have not found press and seal here in Finland and have never remembered to buy it when I'm ordering from the US, mostly because if I'm ordering from the US I'm wanting to buy stamps and fun things like that, so press and seal doesn't really cross my mind. So instead I used just some bits of washi tape and post-it tape to hold all the pieces in position, and I did press it into my panel so that I could easily flip it over and cut away the bits hanging off the edge. If I was to redo this, I probably wouldn't cut off those excess pieces until I've got all my pieces adhered together, because I did find they shifted a little bit in places, so the alignment wasn't actually perfect with the edge anymore once I'd got everything stuck down. So if I had waited to cut off the pieces after everything was stuck together, I wouldn't have had such an issue with that. But it wasn't too big a problem, so I don't think it matters too much. With the pieces all held together with the washi tape or press and seal if you have it, because that definitely would work better, I'm then going to adhere together all the overlapping pieces, and this is what's going to make it a continuous card front. So again, as I said before, this would work better if you have more overlap between the pieces. Some of my areas were really quite fiddly and it did take quite a while to get everything stuck down, but we got there in the end. You do want to be using quite a strong glue for this to make sure everything's going to hold properly. And I did find my reverse tweezers very helpful for helping me lift pieces up and be able to get the glue underneath them. And I also found it helped to work systematically, so start in the top left, for example, and move along and down as you go. You may find that you miss some pieces, but that doesn't matter. You can come back and glue them later, which is what I did. And you can also, if you find you have some gaps that are too big, you can fill those in with your offcut die cuts as well that you cut from hanging over the edge. Once I had all of the gluing completed, I needed to score the top of the panel so that I could adhere it to my card base. As I said, I was inspired by Jennifer Maguire's video, and she did do this where she put the score line into the see-through panel. I found this a bit tricky with the die cuts being so layered up, and also my pieces actually started splitting in the layers, which is really weird. I've never had that happen before, so I'm not quite sure why that was. If I was going to redo this, I think it would actually be way easier just to put the score line on the card panel that is the back portion of the card. I think that would work better. I mean, in theory, either way should work, but I think it would be more secure doing it the other way personally. Not to question Jennifer Maguire's technique. She has a lot more experience than me, but I think that would have worked better from my perspective. So I again used my Tombow Monomulti liquid glue to adhere the creased portion of the card front to the back card panel. And again, you want that to be a nice strong glue, and I did weight it down to keep it held in place. Whilst I was letting that adhere, I created my sentiment panel. This is a sentiment from Unity, and I stamped it with Just Rust ink from Hero Arts, which is a nice autumny orangey brown colour, which I thought worked well. So I stamped that onto a white die cut circle, and before I add that to my card base, I need to adhere a piece down where it's come apart. I did use the backing paper from some double-sided tape to protect the inside of my card whilst I was adding this glue, because I didn't want glue to end up on the inside of my card. And whilst I'm just fiddling with gluing those pieces down, I'll quickly talk a little bit more about the hop. So as I said, this is a kind of inspirational hop, which I took to mean encouragement for my card, but there will be lots of other inspiration themed projects that you can see if you hop along, and you can find the links to all the other stops on the hop in the description box below. I'm actually the last stop on the hop, I believe, but I will have a link near the top of my description that goes round to the beginning of the hop again, and all the rest of the links will also be in the description box just in case you get lost and need to come back and find where you should be going next. And I hope you will hop through, because there is lots of very talented creators to enjoy projects from there. Some of them you may not have met before, so I'm sure they would very much appreciate it if you subscribe, and I would also appreciate it if you are new here, if you would like to subscribe to my channel as well. I did obviously have some bits of glue that I got where I didn't want them, just because I had used so much glue on this project, so having an adhesive eraser is perfect for dealing with those kinds of mishaps. And once I had removed all those extra pieces, I adhered my sentiment panel into place. Actually, I was thinking afterwards, if I was to redo this, I probably would have built the leaves around the sentiment panel, and that way there wouldn't be the layers of them hidden under it being wasted. And I think that also could have helped make the card front sturdier. Just a different way of doing it, but it works well enough like this as well. I also adhered a second circle onto the back of my sentiment circle, and then a third circle that adheres to the back panel. And this third circle indicates where you can write without having the writing show through the see-through part of the card. Of course, you could also just write your message on the very back of the card if you prefer. And I will just again go quickly through removing any extra glue with my adhesive eraser, and that will complete my autumn themed inspirational card. And here you can see how you can see through that, and it does stand up nicely like you would want your cards to stand up. And this really is a lovely way to use up alcohol ink backgrounds that you might not have been too keen on. I think the colours do work really well for autumn. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know by leaving a thumbs up. Don't forget to check the description box for all the products used, as well as the link to the next stop on the hub. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favourite thing about autumn is. If you're not yet subscribed, you can subscribe by pressing the button showing on screen now, and there are also a couple of other videos if you'd like to see more from me straight away. Otherwise, I'll thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!